Alright, so it's finally happened, or at least it looks like it has. The moment we've all been waiting for. Pre-orders for Resident Evil 9 Requiem are officially live. The release date is apparently set for February 27th, 2026, and the countdown has begun. But if you think this is just about securing your copy and getting some bonus pre-order skin, you are missing the entire crazy picture here. Capcom has been playing this one really close to the chest, but the details that are starting to leak out are painting a picture of a game that is way darker and more psychologically twisted than anything we've seen from the series in years. Look, the real story isn't just the release date, it's who we're playing as and the deeply personal vendetta that throws her into a whole new nightmare. Forget what you thought you knew. The pre-orders are up, but this is not the Resident Evil 9 you were expecting. If you want to know what's really going on with Requiem, you need to stick around. And trust me, you'll want to hear this. Before we dive in, if you're as obsessed with Resident Evil news and theories as I am, make sure you subscribe for all the latest on this thing as it drops. Alright, let's get started off with the biggest bombshell from the Summer Game Fest reveal, our new protagonist. For Resident Evil 9, we are not stepping into the combat boots of some seasoned BSAA operator. Instead, we'll be playing as Grace Ashcroft, an FBI intelligence analyst. Yes, you heard that right. An analyst. According to Capcom, Grace is a tech genius, more at home behind a messy desk than on the front lines. The reveal trailer even shows her getting pooed from her desk looking nervous, jumpy, and just completely out of her element. This is a huge shift for the franchise. We're moving away from characters who are prepped for this kind of stuff, and instead getting a protagonist who is, a regular person. She's described as logical and a problem solver, but not a badass hero. At least, not yet. The developers are apparently citing inspirations like The Silence of the Lambs, The X-Files, and David Fincher movies, which, if true, tells you everything you need to know. It signals they're leading heavily into that suspense and dread over blockbuster action. Kind of like what made Resident Evil 7 so effective. Grace Ashcroft isn't Chris Redfield punching a boulder. She represents a return to being truly vulnerable. Her skills are in data and logic, which seems to imply that puzzles and investigation are going to be at the forefront here. This forces us, the players, back into a state of anxiety. When you're not a super soldier, every shadow is a threat, every creak of a floorboard is a potential enemy, and every single bullet counts. We're not just fighting monsters, we're seeing this nightmare through the eyes of someone who is just as terrified as we are. Next over, for you longtime lore hounds, the name Ashcroft should have immediately set off some alarm bells. And this is where the personal, vengeful core of Requiem's story really starts to form. Grace Ashcroft isn't just some random new character. She is the daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft, one of the survivors from the cult classic Resident Evil Outbreak. For those who might not be familiar, Alyssa was an investigative journalist for the Raccoon Press. She was resourceful, a master of unlocking things, and managed to survive the Raccoon City incident back in '98. Her story didn't end there, though. Canonically, it was implied Alyssa was still alive and working as a journalist years later. In Resident Evil 7, players could find a newspaper article she wrote about the Baker family disappearances. It was a fantastic nod for dedicated fans, basically confirming her survival. But Requiem turns this piece of lore into a straight-up tragedy. The game's plot supposedly kicks off with Grace investigating a string of bizarre deaths, which leads her to this abandoned place called the Wrenwood Hotel. Her superior sends her there with the chilling line, "That's where your mother was murdered." So, we learn that 8 years before this game, Alyssa Ashcroft was killed at that very hotel while on an investigation. This changes everything. Grace's mission is no longer just a job, it's a personal vendetta. She's being forced to confront the ghost of her mother's past, returning to the place that took her. The story is not just about surviving an outbreak anymore. It's about a daughter uncovering the truth behind her mother's murder. The emotional stakes have never been higher for a new protagonist, and connecting it to a classic, more obscure part of the lore is honestly a genius move by Capcom. A compelling story is one thing, but how will it play? And this is where Requiem seems to be making its most ambitious moves. The goal here seems to be total player freedom in how you experience the horror. First and foremost is the perspective switch. Capcom has confirmed that you will be able to switch between first-person and third-person perspectives at any time. This is a massive development. Do you prefer the intense claustrophobic immersion of Resident Evil 7 and Village? You can play the whole game in first person. Do you feel more comfortable with the classic feel of the remakes? switch to third person. This feature alone is making Requiem one of the most customizable horror games ever made. It's a literal game changer in terms of letting you tailor the experience. But this isn't just a gimmick. There's also talk of a completely reimagined enemy AI. Basic zombies won't just be predictable cannon fodder. They'll supposedly adapt to your tactics and learn your patterns, but the real terror comes from the new stalker-type enemies. Think Mr. X or Lady D, but they're said to be more terrifying than ever. They won't just follow you. They can burrow through ceilings and crash through walls. You won't be safe anywhere. There are also rumors of a persistent damage system, where cuts and bloodstains will remain on Grace's character model and even show up in cutscenes, a constant visual reminder of your struggle. Whether any of this will actually pan out or be in the final product, who knows? But the leaks do suggest they want to make things way more immersive. So, a new protagonist with a personal connection to the past and some wild new gameplay. But what about the grander narrative of Resident Evil? Don't worry, they haven't forgotten the big picture. In fact, they're taking us back to where it all began, the ruins of Raccoon City. Nearly 30 years after the city was destroyed, Grace's investigation will lead her back into its decimated streets. This raises so many questions. What secrets are still buried there? What horrors have been festering for 30 decades? But you can't go back to Raccoon City without some familiar faces. This is the final epic piece of the puzzle. Leon S. Kennedy is officially back. This is huge. After his starring role in the RE4 remake, fans have been desperate to see where his story goes. His exact role is still a mystery, though. Is he a mentor to Grace, guiding the rookie through the horrors he knows all too well? Is he there on a separate mission? Or, as some rumors suggest, is this game a potential send-off for Leon, bringing his long arc to a close? Who knows, man? Whatever his purpose, his presence confirms that while Requiem is pushing the franchise in a bold new direction, it's still deeply connected to the saga we followed for decades. The dynamic between the nervous, analytical Grace and the seasoned, stoic Leon could be one of the most interesting pairings in the series' history. So, let's circle back. The pre-orders for Resident Evil 9 Requiem are live, but as you can see, the game itself is so much more than just a date on the calendar. It's a bold new direction, anchored by a vulnerable new protagonist on a personal quest for vengeance. It's a gameplay revolution, giving players unprecedented control. And it's a return to the series' most iconic location, bringing back a legendary hero. This is shaping up to be a landmark entry, a true requiem for the old horrors of Raccoon City and the birth of a new nightmare. This is everything we know so far, and honestly, my expectations are through the roof. But now, I want to turn the conversation over to you. What do you guys think of this new direction with Grace Ashcroft? Are you excited about playing as a more vulnerable character? How do you think Leon will fit into her story? And what secrets do you think are waiting in the ruins of Raccoon City? Let me know all of your theories down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown and want to stay up to date on every piece of Requiem news as it drops, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, stay scared.